Hello everyone and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, where today we will be taking a look at LEGO Harry Potter set number 40289, Diagon Alley. This set was a gift with purchase in 2018 if you spent $99 or more on LEGO sets on LEGO Shop at Home or in LEGO stores from November 9th to November 21st. It includes 374 pieces, 1.5-ish minifigures, and yeah, without any more further ado, let's begin the review, starting with the minifigure. The question mark. Starting with the set's one full minifigure, this is Mr. Garrick Ollivander, the lead wand salesman and the only wand salesman for Hogwarts students. And this figure is very similar to the version that came in 2010, but I don't have that figure, but just take my word for it. If you don't believe me, pull up a picture of that figure and compare it to this. I mean, like, the hairpiece was definitely the main thing they changed on him. There are subtle differences on the torso and head, but it's minor. But that makes sense, since the figure already looked really good in 2010, but so I don't think it was overly necessary to make the changes. Anyway, the hairpiece is Doc Brown's in light bluish gray, which also appears in the Hogwarts Great Hall with Nearly Headless Nick, but it's still not an overly common hairpiece. It only appears in these two sets. The face print is nicely detailed and looks a good amount like the actor. I like the sideburns and eyebrows, as well as the wrinkles around the mouth in particular, and the little lines around the eyes as well. It just has a good look to it. The alternate face is more for the Half-Blood Prince in Deathly Hallows, where he is frightened because he's being kidnapped by Death Eaters. How unfortunate. And yeah, this is another really good face print. I like the lines around the eyes in particular. It looks really good, and if you look closely, and this is on both sides, but I'm just mentioning it here, if you look closely, there is actually some faint stubble around the mouth, although it is kind of hard to see. But it is there, and you can see it a little on both sides. Maybe a bit easier on this side. Like just right next to the sideburn here at the bottom, you can see some dots. Anyway, the torso is very nice, pretty accurate to just sort of a standard costume. I believe this is what he was wearing when he sold Harry his wand in the Philosopher's Stone, and it works very well. We have the sort of brown jacket over what I would presume is a gray vest with a cravat underneath. On the back, you just have this simple detailing that LEGO's put on 18,000 minifigures since 2012. He has no leg printing, and he just gets a dark brown wand. And as a wand salesman, that is a perfectly fitting accessory. So, yeah, that is the one full minifigure the set includes, and it's a really nice one. Now, it's unknown if LEGO's ever going to do any more Diagon Alley stuff for this new line. However, we can presume that at some point they will cover at least some of the buildings in the alley. Since we haven't gotten anything in these first 2 years, it is possible that they might do another direct-to-consumer set like they did in 2011. However, my hope would be more that they would just do, like, one building at a time. So instead of getting, like, one set that came with a couple of buildings that were sort of half-baked, I'd prefer if they just did, like, sets one at a time. Like, just do a single, like, big Gringotts set. Just do a single, good-size Weasley Wizard Wheezes set. And perhaps at some point they might do a new version of Ollivander's shop, and I would be curious if they did that, they would just reuse this figure or come up with a new one. And that would be interesting to see. But for the meantime, and for into the foreseeable future, this figure is exclusive for the face and torso. Slightly, but it is still exclusive, so really cool thing to get. I mean, the set already comes with way more pieces than you expect for a gift with purchase, even without the minifigure. And then LEGO was just like, oh yeah, let's include a minifigure as well. So yeah, cool stuff. But But there is also, like, another half figure that we have to take a look at, so let's. So here's the head of the statue outside of Weasley Wizard Wheezes. You can see that the hat is just attached, so it looks like when it's fully completed, there's a hand tipping the hat off the head, and the white stud is supposed to represent a bunny. However, for the sake of this, it'll make more sense if I just put the head like this, and you can see that the head is not a new print, and the hat's not a new color. The hat appeared originally in the 1966 Batcave for the Penguin, and we've also gotten it in this color in the Ninjago City set from 2017. And then the head is actually Robin's from the Lego Batman movie, or one of them. Specifically, this is the one that came in the Arkham Asylum set and the Scuttler, so not an overly common print. And I think it works pretty well for this scenario. Like, it has the freckles, it has the lighter colored eyebrows, it has a big smile. It works pretty well for a clown Weasley. And since it is that head, it does have this alternate frowny face, which definitely doesn't work as well for this occasion, but, you know, it is nice to have. And I mean, hey, if you wanted to put a different head for the statue and use this head for something else, it is cool to have an alternate. I mean, heck, if you wanted to, you could really use this head for the Weasley twins if you had two of this head, which would be an interesting thing to see, and I hope LEGO doesn't do that, because I would want them to get their own heads. But, you know, it is just nice to get a really good head print here, instead of getting, like, no face print, as I was kind of expecting, or even just, like, a classic smiley or something more generic. It's an uncommon piece. Two uncommon pieces, actually, since you also get the hat, which this is the first non-direct-to-consumer set to include it, if I'm correct. And yeah, so cool part of a figure, or part of a statue, I guess, that uses minifigure parts. And before we take a look at the build, there is just one more figure thing I want to take a look at. More of a figure than this, but less of a minifigure than this, if that makes sense. So here is the statue positioned outside of Gringotts Wizard Bank. And this is a nano figure in solid gold, or well, you know, solid pearl gold. I don't mean it's made of solid gold metal, I just mean like the plastic is gold and there's no printing. And since this is a Nano-Scale set, if this was a full-scale set, then this would be a minifigure by logic, so I'm including it here, since obviously there is a Nano-Scale set in this line that comes with nano figures, and in that review I'm going to be reviewing those as minifigures, so I'll be reviewing this as a minifigure. It's a golden boy. Not much else to say beyond that. Like, pretty simple, but I mean, it's cool. It's cool to get a nano figure, at the very least, and this is a nice one. I think it would have been nicer if maybe they could have given us a couple of exclusively printed ones to represent characters, like maybe do a nano figure Ollivander, or a nano figure Weasley twin. But this is just fine. It's nice to get even, since it's not super necessary. Cool. But yeah, that is the very last thing in the set that I can pretend is any sort of minifigure, so now let's move on to the build itself. So here we have the main build for Diagon Alley, and again this is a Nano-Scale set, and I know some people would be curious how this scales to the Nano-Scale Hogwarts direct-to-consumer set, and I can't show that in this video, because that Hogwarts is enormous, and I'm currently having a hard time figuring out how I'm even going to review it, because it is much larger than my current review area. So I can't show that. However, what I can tell you simply is this set is much better scaled to nano figures than that set is, so no. Compared to Hogwarts, this is a lot bigger than it should be. But that's because this set is correctly scaled to the nano figures, while Hogwarts is still definitely... It would still need to be way bigger than it already is to accommodate them correctly, and it is already huge. Like, the thing's like 3 feet long and 2.5 feet high, it's insane. Anyway, but, so I will be just showing you, like, so I'll just be taking this nano figure Harry from the set to sort of show you what I mean, because this scales basically perfectly to the nano figures. Like, if I take him up to this door, he basically goes perfectly next to it. He's just slightly shorter than the door. He's like, these buildings are several Harrys high, but not insanely. Like, each of these looks like it would be like 2 floors, except Gringotts and the Gringotts, which looks like it would be more, and this would probably be 3. Still, though, like, Harry scales pretty well, which is good. Because if you have some spare Nano figures, you could just put them over here and for your display. Anyway, there are 5 buildings here, and starting on the left, we have Gringotts Wizard Bank. And here is the statue out front using the gold Nano figure, as I showed you a few minutes ago. And if we just get a bit of a better look at that, you can see that out front we have the crooked pillars. Obviously, you can just angle those however you like. You could have them all be straight up like in the book, or you could angle them like on the box, and you can make them wonkier than this or less wonky than this. It's all up to you. I also like the use of these textured bricks off to the sides. That's just nice to see. And the dome on top is a bit more questionable, because it really should be some sort of like coppery color, but they went transparent, and I kind of, like, I get what they were going for. Like, the color is accurate, but it should not be see-through. It's a weird thing. Anyway, the bank actually does get a bit of interior space, unlike most of the other buildings, where you just have these nice marble floors with a couple of desks. Again, no tiny goblin figures to go next to them, but that's just fine in my opinion. I also like these dark gray columns there. That adds some nice contrast. Moving on, you can actually see that we do get a nice printed tile, 6 of them to be precise, which is a 2x4 print with cobblestones for the ground, which is just a nice thing to include, and they didn't have to do that. They could have just had it be plain, but they included that extra print, and it just adds a really nice look. Anyway, our next building is Ollivander's Wand Shop. Definitely not the correct size for the Ollivander we get in this set, but hey, what are you going to do? You have these very tall, round windows, which are pretty nice. There's nothing behind them, so you can see all the way through to the background or of wherever you are, but that's just fine. You have the door, which is nice. I like that you have the glass in that and the dark gray. It looks good. You have a little sign above. I like the gold accents. I like just how up top you have some windows as well as that open square window in the center. It just looks nice in the flat design. It's a nice design. Nothing too complex, and there's no interior, but it just works really well. In front of our neck, and then you can see in front of the side of that, the right side, you just have a couple of barrels stacked up. Our next building is Flourish and Blots, and in front of that there is a lamp post. And then for the building itself, you can see that in front of the round display window, you have a couple of cheese slopes, which would represent the doors into the cellar. You have another door, some wonky windows, as well as a couple of tiles which stick out, which are meant to represent sort of display, huge scale books used for displays. Like, I would imagine that one of those would probably be for a Gilderoy Lockhart book, just engorged to be a huge display rather than a purchasable item. And then up top you just have a chimney. Our final building of the 3 that are just flat with no interior is Quality Quidditch Supplies, which has previously appeared as a LEGO set in 2003. By the way, Flourish and Blots has never appeared in a set before, but Ollivander's and Gringotts both appeared in the Diagon Alley set in 2011, with Gringotts also prior appearing in 2002. And again, Quality Quidditch Supplies made its first and only minifigure scale set appearance in 2003 as a late Chamber of Secrets-ish set. But this looks really nice. You get a couple of the lattice windows from the Great Hall, which are still fairly uncommon. You have my favorite part usage in the whole set, which is the paintbrush piece with no printing to represent a broomstick. They also do that in the direct-to-consumer Hogwarts, and in both it's a fantastic thing. Here, the door is inset, which I think gives a much better look than these two. Like, these still look fine, but I really like the look of it being inset. Also, the tile and ale for the bottom half, instead of just having two plates, I don't know, it just looks really nice. You have a sign, this time with a gold stud to represent a snitch. You have a flag hanging down, you have a lantern, and then you have a chimney at the top. Cool stuff. And then before we get on to our last building, we do have the little arched entrance into Nocturne Alley, with a couple of barrels stacked up in there. And our last building is Weasley Wizard Wheezes. You have another lamppost here off to the side. Here you can see the statue in all of its glory with the brick-built arm, which can be posed both just up and down, as well as sort of in and out. Although it definitely looks best if you have it in a position where it could just be grabbing the hat. You can see that you have some large rounded window areas, as well as some thinner ones. And up top, you have these headlight bricks. Sorry about that. Anyway, meant to represent smaller, more square windows. And you can also see those on the front, I guess, as well. You have some cheese slopes up top to have some pointing, as well as a chimney. And if I turn this around to the back, this area also has some interior space. Only one floor. I kind of would have liked if they'd put in a second, but oh well. Bringing back in our Harry Nano figure from Hogwarts, you can see that these shelves are very tall next to him, which makes sense, but then also, like, the counter with the cash register is huge. They probably should have made that just, like, 2 plates high, so they would have looked a bit less ridiculous. But oh well, just a minor thing. Oh, and I also forgot to mention how Harry looks in Gringotts. Derp. The desks are pretty big next to him, but it works well enough. No goblins again, though, so unfortunate. But anyway, yeah, you just have a couple of shelves. This one with some stuff, and this one, and then you just have the counter with a cash register. I kind of would have preferred if instead of just having some nondescript shelves, we could have had some more specific stuff. Like maybe just include a 1x1 trans pink cone for the love potion setup. Maybe include a little area for pygmy puffs. I don't know, I would have liked to have seen something a bit more specific in here for interior space. But that could be easily modded, as could be a second floor, so really just minor complaints. Anyway, that is all for the Diagon Alley set, and its one included minifigure. But we're not done just yet, as we still have to take a look at the box, instruction manual, and the extra pieces, and then we can wrap up this review. This set gets a very nice box design, consistent with the other Harry Potter sets for the most part, with the LEGO Harry Potter logo in the top left and the Wizarding World logo in the bottom right. However, there is no art of Harry, Ron, and Hermione up in the top right corner, which is interesting, but in the bottom left, we still get an image for our minifigure, in this case, Mr. Ollivander, and on the left, we also get all of our info. Our main set image shows off all 5 builds. You can see off to the left, you actually can see a bit into Gringotts' interior, which is interesting. But yeah, it just does a good job at showing off the build. And in the background, you have a lot of great Diagon Alley and London just artwork, which is really nice. Nothing too specific I can see, which is good, since you don't want people's eyes being drawn to stuff that's not included. Yeah, cool stuff. On top, you have actual size with the Nano figure. Here you have nothing. Here you have another image of the set with a different language. Here you have legal info no one cares about. And then at the back, you can see mine starting to come open because I actually kind of opened mine poorly. I'm going to need to glue that in some places. Anyway, here on the back, you can just see Ollivander strolling through with labels to the 5 buildings included. Not much else to see here, really. Pretty simple box, but a pretty nice one. The set comes with 1 manual, as would be expected from a promotional set, but since the set comes with nearly 400 pieces, it is quite a beefy manual. At the front, you have this guy telling you how numbered bags work, and the set comes to a total of 66 pages of building. And then at the back, you have an ad for the 3 mainline Harry Potter sets for 2018, an ad for the 2 Fantastic Beasts sets and the 2 mainline Brickheads, as well as the figures from the 5 wide release sets. And then you just have your parts list, and no Win Kid, interestingly. Normally manuals would end off with either Win Screaming Kid or Win minifigure. But no, this one ends off with a nice LEGO Life ad, specifically showing stuff from the Hogwarts Whomping Willow set mainly. Interesting. With this set being in Nano-Scale, it makes sense that there would be a lot of small parts included, which would equate to a lot of spare parts as well. It's just really nice how many good spare parts there are. To pick out a few of my favorites, you get an extra of the gold Nano figure, which is really cool. I love these guys. You get an extra black hot dog from the Weasley statue, which is really cool, not too common in black. You get an extra brown paintbrush, which is my favorite extra of the whole set. It's just phenomenal to get a spare of these. I love this technique. So cool. I'm probably going to try to do, at some point, to make a full-on Quidditch pitch using some of these with little clips on top to represent players. You get an extra one of these modified 1x1s, which is good. You get an extra dark brown wand and its sprue, which are cool to get. It's always good to get more wands. And then you get an extra one of these 3 long bars, an extra Exoforce hand, and then aside from that, also an extra black Holy Stud and a white Holy Stud. And then aside from that, you just get some nice cheese slopes, plates, tiles, and studs in different colors. Like this lavender one is a bit less common, but other than that, nothing else too amazing here, but you do get a lot of nice ones, which is good. And that's really all I have to say about the extra parts, so let's eschew this segment to go talk about the final verdict. Now, this set is a promotional item that had a rather limited release, so it wouldn't exactly be too easy for me to just tell you should you buy this set or not, because you can't just buy it from the LEGO store at this point. It would have only been available then during its very limited promotional period, and obviously that is far past. In fact, I didn't even get this set until I got it as a Christmas gift well over a month after the promotion was over. And I didn't think I was going to be getting it at all, so it was very nice to get it. But anyway, so I think the real question is, how much should you pay for this set secondhand? Because this is a fantastic little set. It would be a great thing to just have on your desk as a Harry Potter fan, as it's pretty recognizable, especially the 2 buildings on the ends. The others are more niche things, but like you would still get the idea that it's Diagon Alley and you have all these fun, wacky buildings. And Ollivander's a cool minifigure to have on display. He looks really nice and fine. The set comes with 374 pieces, so it probably makes sense that if this was released by itself for money, it would probably run for around $40. And I think that $40 or anything below that would be a phenomenal price for this set. If you see it for that much or lower, just snap it up. It's great. I think the $50 is about the highest I would gladly pay. Like, I would gladly pay $50 if I didn't have this. 50 or less is good. 40 or less is fantastic. And if you see it for like $30 or anything below that, just buy it instantly. Don't even give it a second thought. It's just a really good set. The highest I would pay would probably be around like 60. I wouldn't be able to pay more than 60 in good conscience. So yeah, overall a phenomenal set with a phenomenal minifigure, some phenomenal builds, phenomenal parts, it's just awesome. It's magical. Ha! Get it? I said it's magical, and it's a Harry Potter set, and that has magic in it. It's funny. But yeah, so this is a really cool set, and if you have the chance to find it and get your hands on it, I would definitely recommend adding it to your collection, and obviously this set is really one more for the hardcore Harry Potter fans. I say hardcore, but I mean more like if you're just a casual fan, it's probably not worth it. But if you're going to collect the whole line, I would definitely recommend it, and even not, I think that if you're a Harry Potter fan, this would just be a really fun thing to have on display, and I like the Nano-Scale stuff. And, like, especially if you have the direct-to-consumer Hogwarts set, which would definitely place you in the realm of superfan, but still, if you have that, this is a great companion piece, because it is also Nano-Scale, even if not exactly the same Nano-Scale in this set, and they're not scaled to each other, they still look great next to each other. So, yeah, I guess that's really all the different things I can say. It looks great by itself, it looks great as part of a Harry Potter display, it looks great on your desk, it looks great with the direct-to-consumer Hogwarts. It just is a fantastic set. It's really good. Go buy it. So thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one, which I'll probably be posting at some point. Yeah, that's how to end a video.